The night was quiet, almost too quiet, and the small house at the edge of the forest stood in complete stillness. Inside, a young man named Aaron was sitting alone at his desk. He was reading an old book, trying to relax after a long day. The clock on the wall ticked slowly. Everything felt calm. Everything felt normal. But that peaceful night was about to change forever. Aaron turned a page and took a deep breath. The wind outside was soft, brushing against the windows. He was used to nights like this, lonely but peaceful. He liked simple moments. But then, something strange happened. A sound, a very light sound, a knock. Knock. Aaron froze. It was soft, weak, like someone barely had the strength to make it. At first he thought it was his imagination. Maybe the house was creaking. Maybe a branch hit the wall. Then it came again. Knock. Knock. This time the sound was trembling, almost shaking like the person knocking was about to fall. Aaron stood up slowly. A cold feeling moved across his spine. Who would knock at his door at this hour? His house was far from the town. Visitors never came here, not at night, not in this silence. He walked toward the door. The floorboards under his feet made a soft sound. His heartbeat grew louder in his ears with every step. He reached the door and placed his hand on the handle. For a moment he hesitated. Something felt wrong. Something felt dangerous. He opened the door. At first he saw nothing, only darkness, only the cold night wind brushing across his face. But then his eyes moved downward, and he saw her. A woman. Or something like a woman. She was standing at the door, shaking, her knees weak as if she would fall at any second. Her skin was pale, with a strange glow, almost like moonlight living under her skin. Her eyes were silver, dim, tired, filled with fear. Her clothes were torn and burned as if she escaped a fire, or something far worse. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak. I'm hungry. Please. Her voice was fragile, barely a whisper. And before Aaron could ask a single question, she collapsed right at his feet. Aaron dropped to his knees in shock. He reached out to help her, and the moment he touched her arm, he felt a strange warmth. Not human warmth. Something different. Something alien. His breath caught in his throat. Was she human? He didn't know. But he knew one thing. She needed help. Aaron took a deep breath and carried her inside. She was light, too light, as if she hadn't eaten in days. Her head rested against his chest, and he could feel her weak breathing. He placed her on the sofa and ran to get water. When he returned, he stopped. Her skin was glowing a little brighter now, like a dying light trying to stay alive. Her fingers twitched. Her breathing was fast. She looked scared even in her sleep. Aaron brought the glass close to her lips, and slowly she drank a little. Her body relaxed slightly, but she still looked weak. He whispered to himself, "What happened to you?" There was no answer, only silence. But then he noticed something outside the window. A flicker, a flash, a strange white light moving through the trees. Aaron's heart jumped. Was someone out there? He stepped closer to the window. The forest looked normal, but then the light appeared again. This time, brighter, like a searchlight, like someone was looking for something. Or someone. He turned back to the alien woman on the sofa. Her face twitched in fear. She whispered something in a language he didn't understand. Her fingers clawed the blanket, as if she was trying to protect herself from memories. A sudden loud hum broke the silence, a deep vibrating sound coming from the sky, almost like a machine. Aaron ran to the window again. Something was floating above the forest. Not a plane, not a drone. Something he had never seen before. Dark, silent, moving like a shadow with glowing blue lines on its side. It swept across the trees slowly, as if scanning the ground. Aaron's heartbeat pounded in his chest. Were they searching for her? The alien woman opened her eyes suddenly, full of terror. She tried to sit up, but her body was too weak. She grabbed Aaron's wrist with surprising strength. They are coming," she whispered. Her voice shook with fear. Aaron swallowed hard. He had no idea who they were, but from the look in her eyes, he understood one thing. They were dangerous, and they were close. The hum in the sky grew louder. The lights outside flashed brighter. Something was moving toward his house. Aaron rushed to lock the door, his hands shaking. He didn't know the woman. He didn't know what she was. He didn't know why she came to him. But he knew this. She needed him. And something deadly was coming to find her. The night was no longer peaceful. It had just become a battlefield. And Aaron had no idea what he was about to face.
The strange humming sound outside grew louder, filling the walls of the small house. Aaron stood still, his hands cold, his breath tight. Something dangerous was out there, something searching. He looked back at the alien woman lying weak on the sofa. Her glowing skin flickered like a fading light. She opened her eyes again, slow and afraid. Her silver pupils were trembling as she looked around the room, trying to understand where she was. "You are safe for now," Aaron whispered, trying to sound calm. Her head turned toward the window and her whole body stiffened. Fear, real fear, spread across her face. She struggled to sit, but her arms shook too much. "They are here," she whispered. "The hunters." Aaron felt a chill go down his spine. The hunters. Hunters of what? Of who? He knelt beside her. Who are they? Why are they looking for you? She closed her eyes, gathering the little strength left in her body. "I escaped them." "They do not allow escape," she said softly. "They chase until the one who runs is found, dead or alive." Aaron swallowed hard. This was not a normal danger. This was not something human. Whatever was outside his house was far beyond anything he had ever seen. A bright flash of blue light passed over the window again. The walls vibrated as if something was scanning the house. The woman grabbed Aaron's hand tightly. Her skin was warm, strange, almost electric. "Please do not let them take me," she whispered. "They will kill me, or worse." Aaron had never seen someone look so broken, so desperate, so alone. He nodded. "I won't let them," even though he had no idea how he would protect her. She breathed a small sigh, but her body trembled. She was starving, weak, almost fading. Aaron hurried to the kitchen and grabbed whatever food he found, bread, fruit, water. He rushed back and placed the food beside her. She stared at it like it was treasure. "Thank you," she whispered. She ate slowly, carefully, as if her body was not used to food anymore. Aaron watched her, confused and amazed. Finally, he asked, "What's your name?" She opened her silver eyes and said the word softly, almost singing it. "Leora." The name felt foreign, beautiful, not from this world. Aaron repeated it quietly. "Leora, I'm Aaron." She nodded, but then her expression changed. She looked down at her burned clothes, the marks on her arms and the small cuts glowing faint blue. She looked ashamed, like she hated being seen in this broken state. "I did not want to bring danger to your home," she said. "I had nowhere else to run." Aaron shook his head. "It's okay. You came here because you needed help." Her eyes softened. "Humans are kind," she whispered. Aaron was about to speak, but then the lights outside the house stopped moving. The strange humming grew quieter, but not gone. The hunters were close, maybe right outside the forest line. "We need to hide you," Aaron said quickly.
You're too weak to fight." Leora looked down. "Yes, I cannot fight now." She touched a small glowing mark on her wrist. "My energy is empty." Energy? Powers? The marks on her skin? Everything about her was strange, alien, and frightening, but something about her also felt innocent, like she never wanted to hurt anyone. Aaron helped her stand. Her legs were weak, shaking. She leaned on him for support. He guided her to a small room behind the kitchen, a storage room with a sturdy door. "You can rest here," Aaron said. But Leora grabbed his sleeve before he stepped back. "Aaron, you should not stay near me," she whispered. "If they find you with me, they will harm you too." Aaron looked into her eyes. They were full of fear, not for herself, but for him. "You knocked on my door," Aaron said softly. "You trusted me, so I'll protect you." She stared at him with surprise, almost confusion. "No one has ever protected me before." Aaron gave a small, nervous smile. "Well, now someone is." Leora looked like she wanted to cry, but instead she nodded slowly. Outside, something cracked, a branch breaking, something heavy stepping on the forest ground. Aaron froze. Then came a voice, a sharp, metallic voice echoing through the trees. "Target escaped pod nearby. Continue scan. No survivors must remain." Aaron felt his blood run cold. Leora pressed her hand to her mouth, terrified. "They're close." Aaron locked the storage room door and whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't move. I'll check from the window." He turned off all lights and peered outside through a small opening in the curtains. Dark shapes moved through the trees, tall, armored figures with glowing helmets. Their bodies looked half machine, half creature. Each step they took made the ground vibrate. One of them raised a device that shined a blue line across the ground, scanning for footprints. Aaron's heart hammered in his chest. If they scanned close to the house, they would find her. He backed away from the window, sweat on his forehead. He heard the hunters' footsteps getting closer. He heard their metallic breathing, their weapons humming. Then the steps stopped, right outside his door. Aaron's breath caught. His knees felt weak. A metallic claw scraped across the doorframe. A robotic voice spoke. "Life sign detected inside." Aaron clenched his fists. They found something. And Leora was too weak to run. He had only one choice now. He had to protect her, no matter what happened next.
The colony siren screamed across the dusty streets, a sharp metallic echo that bounced off every rusted wall and broken light panel. Darren walked fast, carrying little Rinny in his arms while Lyra held tightly onto his sleeve. He did not run, not yet, because running would bring attention too soon. But he felt the tension in the air, tightening like a metal chain around his chest. Rinny hid her face against his neck, small fingers gripping his shirt. Lyra kept looking behind them, her eyes wide with fear. "Darren, they will come soon," she whispered. "They always come." He nodded. "I know," he said softly. "But this time, they won't take you." They slipped into a narrow alley between two abandoned storage buildings. The smell of old chemicals and metal dust filled the air. Darren knew these alleys well. He had fixed machines here, eaten lunches here, and even slept inside old crates when work was too far from his quarters. But now the paths felt different, more dangerous, more alive with movement. Lyra tugged his sleeve. "They send drones first," she said quietly. "Drones hear everything." As if summoned by her words, a buzzing sound grew above their heads. Darren looked up. A patrol drone hovered over the alley,
mechanical eyes scanning the ground. Its blue lights flicked to red when it spotted figures below. Darren cursed under his breath. He dashed behind a large metal container, pulling the girls with him. The drone rotated, searching, its sensors humming loudly. A red targeting line swept across the alley, glowing against the wall inches from Darren's boots. Rennie whimpered in fear. Lyra covered her sister's mouth gently, keeping her quiet. Darren placed one hand over both of them, shielding them with his body. The drone's engine whined higher, preparing to mark their location. Darren took a deep breath. In one rapid motion, he grabbed a loose pipe from the ground and hurled it upward with trained precision. The pipe struck the drone's sensor head, cracking it. The drone wobbled, sparks flying, and crashed into a crate with a loud metallic thud. For a moment, the alley went silent. Then Lyra whispered, You fight like soldiers in old movies." Darren gave a tired half smile. "I used to be one, a long time ago." He guided them deeper into the alley system. The sun was falling, turning the colony sky into a dull orange haze. Shadows stretched long across the ground, offering small places to hide. As they moved, they passed locals who quickly turned away. Some pretended not to see them. Some stepped back in fear. Some closed their doors, wanting no trouble. But one old woman, standing near a broken vending machine, whispered softly, "They marked those girls as dangerous." Then she looked at Darren, eyes full of mixed fear and hope. "But maybe you're more dangerous than them." Darren did not answer. He just kept walking, carrying Rennie closer. After many turns, they reached an abandoned warehouse near the far edge of the colony. The doors were broken, the windows cracked. A perfect place to hide for a moment. Darren slipped inside. The air was cold, heavy with dust. Old machinery sat in corners like silent giants, forgotten by everyone. He set Rennie down gently and checked the doors, making sure they had not been followed. Lyra sat beside her sister, hugging her tightly. Rennie leaned against Lyra's shoulder, too tired to speak. Darren knelt in front of them. He said, "We'll rest here for a moment, but not long." Lyra looked up slowly. Do you think Mother is alive?" she asked. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from hope she was afraid to feel. Darren reached into his pack and pulled out a small diagnostic tablet. He said, "I don't know, honestly, but I will find out." He activated the tablet and opened the colony security network. He knew he shouldn't be able to access it, but soldiers learn tricks that engineers never forget. He bypassed a few firewalls, rerouted a few codes, and finally the prisoner logs appeared on the screen. Lyra and Rennie leaned closer. Their eyes watched the screen, as if watching their future unfold. The list scrolled. Names, numbers, charges, mind block assignments. Then Darren saw it. Prisoner 47B. Female, Varathi Minor. Status? Alive. Containment Sector 12. Lyra gasped, her hands covering her mouth. She whispered, "She's alive. Mama is alive." Rennie's face lit with weak but real joy, her tiny fingers trembling with relief. Darren felt warmth in his chest. It was a rare feeling in a place like this, but it didn't last long. A loud crash echoed outside the warehouse, then another, then the heavy thudding of armored boots. Lyra's joy turned back to fear. She whispered, "They found us. They always find us." Darren stepped forward, placing himself between the girls and the broken warehouse entrance. He took a deep breath. His mind became calm, in the way only former soldiers understood. The door burst open. Guards flooded in with guns drawn. Their leader shouted, "Human, step aside! You are aiding dangerous species!" Darren didn't move. His voice was steady and cold. "You want them? You'll have to go through me." And for the first time, the guards hesitated, because Darren didn't look like a mechanic anymore. He looked like what he truly was, a trained fighter standing between innocence and cruelty. A human ready to fight an entire colony for 2 starving children. The hunt had reached him, but so had the moment he would no longer run from.
The warehouse filled with echoes of armored boots as the guards stepped deeper inside, their weapons raised and their eyes hard with authority. Dust floated in the beams of fading sunlight, making every movement look sharp and dangerous. Darren stood at the center of the open floor, his legs steady, his shoulders squared, his body shielding Lyra and Rennie completely. The lead guard pointed his rifle at him. "Step away from the Veyrathi children," he ordered. "They are government property." Darren's voice came out calm, but strong enough to cut through the tension. "They are not property," he said. "They are children." Behind him, Lyra clutched Rennie tightly, whispering something soft in her sister's ear to keep her calm. But Rennie was shaking too hard to stay still, the fear inside her too deep, too old, too familiar. The guards moved forward, forming a half circle around Darren. Their visors reflected his face, dusty, tired, but unbroken. One guard stepped close and swung his baton. Darren blocked it with his forearm, the impact sending a sharp sting through his arm. Another guard tried to shove him aside, but Darren shifted his weight, grabbed the guard's wrist, and twisted him off balance. The guard stumbled back with a shocked grunt. No one expected resistance, not from a simple mechanic. But Darren was no simple mechanic, not in heart, not in training, not in will. He had seen war. He had survived it, and he would survive this too, if it meant saving these children. The lead guard grew angry. "You dare oppose us?" he barked. "You're throwing your life away for 2 parasites." Darren's jaw tightened. "You call them parasites? Because you're too afraid to call them people." One guard fired a warning shot into the ceiling, the blast echoing through the warehouse. The children screamed and ducked. Darren's eyes sharpened. He stepped forward like a storm ready to break. "Put the gun down," Darren said quietly. His voice wasn't loud. It wasn't angry, but it was the kind of voice that made soldiers listen. The guard hesitated. Just a second. But that was enough, because in that second something else happened. A soft pulse of energy rippled through the warehouse air. It came from behind Darren. From Lyra. She clutched Rennie and shook, her eyes glowing faintly with a blue light she didn't understand. The guards noticed it immediately. "There, she's activating! The older one! She's using her telepathic field!" Lyra closed her eyes, tears falling down her cheeks. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want Mama. I just want her back." Another wave of faint energy pulsed outward, gentle, soft, warm. Nothing harmful, but strong enough to brush against the minds of everyone around. Darren felt it wash through him like a soft emotion. Fear, pain, longing, all mixed together. The guards staggered for a moment, confused. One clutched his helmet. Another stepped back in alarm. "She's reading us! She's dangerous! She'll break our minds!" Lyra cried harder. No, I'm not. I don't know how." Darren turned to her. "Lyra, it's okay. You're not hurting anyone. You're scared, and that's all right." She stared up at him with trembling eyes. "I saw something. I saw Mama. She is in pain. I saw her face. She is alive." Darren felt the air shift around him. Her telepathic spark wasn't an attack. It was a call, a desperate cry toward the only person she trusted. But the guards didn't care. They only saw danger. They only saw power they didn't understand. The lead guard raised his rifle again. "That's enough," he snapped. "Stand aside or we end this right now." That was the moment Darren made a decision. With no fear, no second thoughts. He walked forward and stood directly in front of the rifle. His shadow fell over the girls. His presence blocked every line of fire. He lifted his chin, meeting the guard's visor head on. "You shoot, and I promise every camera in this colony will show the galaxy exactly what you did." The guard froze, because Darren was right. In his pocket was the drone recorder he had grabbed earlier. He held it up now, its small red light blinking. "This," he said, "has everything. The beatings, the threats, the way you chased starving kids through the streets. If you kill me, this goes public." The guards exchanged tense looks. People outside began gathering, drawn by the shouting and gunfire. Shadows of civilians appeared through the broken windows, watching, filming, whispering. The lead guard growled. "You think anyone will believe a mechanic over the colony authority?" Darren stepped closer. "I don't need them to believe me," he said. They'll believe their eyes. One guard lowered his weapon. Another stepped back. A crack in authority began to form. Small, but real. Lyra watched with wide eyes. Rennie clung to her sister, whispering softly, Darren, don't get hurt. Darren heard her tiny voice, and his heart tightened. He stood taller, stronger, unbreakable. You will not touch these girls, he said, not while I am standing. The guards shifted uncertainly. For the first time, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to break a man who refused to bend. Outside, more civilians gathered, phones lifted, cameras recording. The guards felt the pressure. The colony was watching. The galaxy might be next. The lead guard glared at Darren. This isn't over, he said. Not by a long shot. Darren didn't move. I'm counting on that, he replied, because I'm going to end it. The guards backed out of the warehouse slowly, retreat driven by fear of the crowd, not fear of the law. Their boots faded into the distance. The sirens dimmed for now. Darren turned back to the children, kneeling beside them. Lyra wiped her eyes. You protected us, she whispered. Darren placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. I will keep protecting you until we save your mother, no matter what it takes. And in that dusty warehouse, with night falling outside, a small spark of hope flickered to life. A spark that would change everything. The water tower lay broken across the ground, metal twisted and dust rising into the air. The forest was silent for a moment, as if the entire world was holding its breath. Aaron slowly opened his eyes, pain running through his arms and legs from the fall. But he was alive. Leora lay beside him, breathing weakly but safely. She looked up at Aaron with wide, trembling silver eyes. You saved me. Again, she whispered. Aaron took a shaky breath. Of course I did. I said I would. Below them, the metal wreckage creaked. Sparks flashed from under the broken tower. Leora's eyes widened. No, he is not finished. Aaron turned quickly. The commander's hand lifted from beneath the metal. His armor was cracked. His red lights were flickering, but he was still alive. With a loud, angry roar, the commander pushed the metal aside. His body was damaged, but his hatred was stronger. His steps were unsteady, but he marched forward, dragging his broken leg behind him. Human, he growled, voice glitching. You will be destroyed. Aaron pushed himself to stand, but his legs were shaking. He was exhausted. He had no strength left. He had no weapons left. All he had was courage, and that certainty that he would not let Leora die. The commander raised his damaged arm, the weapon charging with a faint red glow. Leora struggled to sit up. Aaron, run, she whispered. He will kill you. Aaron shook his head. I'm not leaving you. Leora's eyes filled with tears. No one had ever said that to her before. The commander stepped closer. Human life. Meaningless. Alien runaway. Property. Aaron's fists tightened. She's not your property. She's not a tool. She's not a thing. She's a person, and you don't get to hurt her anymore. The commander fired. But at that same moment, something inside Leora awakened. A bright blue light exploded from her body, shooting into the air like a rising star. The glow spread across her skin, stronger than ever before. Her silver eyes turned bright white, glowing with pure energy. Aaron covered his face from the light, shocked. The commander paused, stepping back. Impossible. She had no power left. Leora rose slowly to her feet, floating slightly above the ground. Her voice echoed softly, filled with new strength. You hurt me. You hunted me. You tried to take my life, but no more. Her hands glowed brighter, forming streams of blue energy that cracked like lightning. The commander raised his arm to block, but Leora's energy shot forward in a single, powerful burst. The beam struck him directly in the chest. For a moment, the world was full of blinding blue light. The commander screamed in a metallic roar, stumbling backward as his armor cracked even more. Sparks exploded from his joints, his red eyes flickered wildly. Then, with one final flash, boom! The commander collapsed onto the ground, lifeless. His armor darkened, his red lights faded. The forest fell silent again. Leora's glowing faded gently, and she fell to her knees, exhausted once more. Aaron ran to her and caught her before she hit the ground. "Are you okay?" he whispered, holding her arms. Leora gave a small, tired smile. "Yes, I am okay. Thanks to you." Aaron let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The danger was over. The hunters were gone. The commander was destroyed. For the first time since she arrived, they were safe. Leora looked at the broken machines around them. He will not return. He cannot harm us now. Aaron nodded. Good, because I wasn't planning to let him win. Leora touched his hand gently. Aaron, you are different from my people. You are brave, but also kind. No one has ever protected me before. Her voice shook, full of emotion she didn't know how to express. Aaron placed his hand on her shoulder. And no one will ever hurt you again. Not while I'm here. Leora lowered her head and did something unexpected. She knelt before him. Aaron's eyes widened. Leora? What are you doing? She placed her hand over her heart, her silver eyes glowing softly. I swear loyalty to you, she said softly. You saved my life. You protected me when I was weak. You risked your life for me. In my culture, that means you are family now. Aaron's breath caught. He didn't know what to say. Leora continued, voice trembling but strong. I belong with you now. If you accept me, I will stay by your side. Aaron slowly knelt with her and lifted her chin gently so she would look at him. Leora, he said softly, you don't belong to me. You're free. But if you want to stay, then stay as family, not as a prisoner. Her eyes filled with emotion. Yes, family. She leaned against him, tired but safe. Aaron held her gently as the sun slowly rose behind the trees. The long night was over. But their story was not. Leora looked at the sky and whispered, Aaron, more ships may come one day. More hunters. My people created enemies far beyond this world. Aaron smiled calmly. Then we faced them together. Leora nodded, soft and grateful. Together. And as the first light of morning touched the earth, a new journey began. A human and an alien, bound by survival, courage, and loyalty. A new family and a new future.